There's a few things to success if you're trying to make any kind of sustainable change to your life. And I believe that those go in order of one, knowing what it is that you actually want, right? Like having a goal in mind, being able to set intentions towards that goal and consistently, repeatedly revisit that goal and how it would feel, right? Having some faith in the goal that you're working towards. And then also setting up your environment for your own success. So that includes your evening routine, your morning routine, the way that you're treating yourself, the environment that you're in overall, just like your home and the tidiness, etc. I think all of these things all lead up to you being able to have the most success possible. And in today's episode, I want to talk about the evening routine and setting up your environment for success, right? So remember, the order it goes in is knowing what you actually want, repeatedly setting those intentions, and then taking a look at your environment. What are the routines and the habits that you're keeping? And we're going to talk about the evening one today because I've got a key little tips and tricks process that you can follow that will really help your night routine set you up for the best day and make sure you're going to sleep in the best mood and really dwelling in kind of the outcome that you want to have, the wish fulfilled that you're seeking. With that, I welcome you to Unleashing Happiness. I am your host, Cecilia Hendricks. This podcast is designed to teach you how to change your mindset, change your habits, and actually change your life. I found myself a few years ago in a position of loving many, many areas of my life, but also feeling like something was still missing and that there was some fulfillment that I was seeking. I was blaming a lot of external factors for the way that I was feeling, like my spouse or my family, my friends, my job, everything. I kind of looked at like, I need this to change so I can feel better. And I learned that it actually starts with me, right? Like I feel better and my external world kind of catches up to me. The more that I focus on taking care of myself and filling my own cup and making sure that I am giving myself the permission to live a life that I truly love, the more that my life becomes better. I have more emotional intelligence. I feel better each and every day when I wake up. My mind naturally tends to look for solutions and opportunity and the more positive feelings in life. Not to say that I never get upset by any means. I'm still human and I still have emotions and I want to feel those emotions. But I really was able to design a process that just makes me feel better. I wasn't overwhelmed. I didn't feel lost and unseen in my life as a mother and a wife. I started to feel more like myself. And I realized that as I was sharing this process with others around me, they were starting to have the same success. And they're like, holy cow, I am starting to feel better. I'm starting to enjoy my life more. I'm starting to feel more like myself, but still giving tons out to my family, still being there for my family, for my kids, showing up better at work, getting more promotions, making more money. And so I started this podcast to share some of that and share how you can change your habits and change your routines and really change the way that your mind works and thinks to live a better life that you truly love. Something that I've noticed, especially in women and women who are mothers, is the difficulty allowing yourself the ability to take care of yourself first, right? And to put yourself first. There's this thought that you have to be selfless in order to be a mother. I see a lot of women who kind of have this feeling. I need to keep giving and giving and giving. I can't fill my own cup first. It's too selfish. And being selfish in this kind of way is actually rather important. And I mean self like SELF-ISH, selfish, right? Because you have to be able to take care of yourself. And the more that you take care of yourself, the more you're actually able to give to others and to take care of others and to provide for the ones that are around you because that resentment isn't there. All women should learn how to care for themselves, how to make sure that they feel joy and happiness. And then you actually find that the relationships around you just naturally improve on their own. And a key part of this is making sure that you are paying attention to how you're spending your evening, right? When you get to the end of your day, how are you actually feeling? Think about the past few days and when you go to bed, or start to check in with yourself as you're getting ready for bed over the next couple days. How are you feeling as you're getting ready for bed? Are you just completely wiped out? Do you reflect on anything that went well throughout the day? Do you take care of yourself before you go to bed? I can tell you that years ago, I was amazed when I looked at my own evening routine. Because what was shocking to me was that when I really started to pay attention to it, I realized that what I was doing the majority of the time was scrolling on my phone for, I don't know, probably an hour or more, just mindlessly scrolling and then passing out. I wasn't even washing my face. I wasn't taking care of myself in any kind of way. I wasn't doing anything to get ready for bed. And most often, I went to sleep with a bit of resentment about the day. I loved being a mom. I've always loved being a mom, and I've shared this a lot. It was not a lack of love, right, for anybody that was external to me. My children, my spouse, my friends, my family. I loved them so much that I felt in order to love them properly, I had to do everything for them. And I had to learn that I also need to love myself properly, that I need to take care of myself. I need to show up for myself. I need to be there for me as well, that there was an importance in taking care of myself. And I stumbled on this kind of on accident, right? So I ended up finding the Law of Attraction movie called The Secret. It was a documentary. And I was always very interested in how the world worked. And I always kind of had some questions about what I was taught in church. And so I fell very naturally into this documentary. I was hooked, right? I was like, man. So I bought the book. I started buying other books. I wanted to learn everything I could about it. And to be honest, what I first fell into was toxic positivity. I was convinced that if something did not work out for me, it was because I wasn't thinking positive enough, and I assigned every emotion positive or negative. And I would convince myself, no matter what I was going through and what I was truly feeling, that if I just ignored it hard enough and kept saying everything's going to be fine, everything's going to be fine, everything's going to be fine, that it would all work out. And I found myself very quickly in a very frustrating cycle of attempting to figure out how this works without ever feeling bad about anything. And so part of my process that I teach others is how you are actually allowed to feel. Not only are you allowed to feel, it's good for you to feel. Your emotions and the feelings that you have are all key insights into where you're truly dwelling, what you really think about whatever kind of topic. And it's important to allow yourself to feel that. Denying your emotions is not any kind of law of assumption or law of attraction principle, because instead what it teaches is not to just deny them as if they're not there and become an obsessive, I guess like an obsessive kind of person who's just constantly repeating something over and over to themselves. The principles instead teach you how to learn how to control your own moods, emotional regulation. What they're saying is that when you can teach yourself how to not dwell in something that is not what you actually want, right? How instead to reframe your thinking into the possibility, into the solutions, into the opportunities that are around you, then more opportunities begin to present themselves. And that's what I'm here to teach. How can you emotionally regulate yourself so that you can start living a life that you actually want? It's not about denying emotions. It's not about toxic positivity, and it's not about fake gratitude. And so that is my goal here, is to teach you how to take care of yourself, how to emotionally regulate, and how to truly rewire your brain so that you can focus on the solutions no matter what's going on around you, and that you are allowing yourself to feel what you need to feel without judgment, without persecuting yourself, without getting frustrated, without creating these like mental battlefields that I see happen so much within this teaching and within these principles. It's all about pairing the woo-woo with the actual scientific evidence of how to learn how to manage your emotions. And if you're anything like me, I love my parents. I think they are amazing, and they definitely did the best job that they could. One area, though, that I don't think they were ever taught either was how to emotionally regulate. There was no emotional intelligence being taught in my household. Instead, it was ignore and deny. Which then makes sense on why, when I found the secret, I fell very quickly into yes, ignore and deny, and then everything will just work out the way that I want it to. And it didn't. Instead, I just kept feeling more and more frustrated. And I wasn't frustrated as much with people externally now. Now my frustration was turned internally. I was frustrated with myself because I couldn't figure this out. I could have many things that would happen that did not have an explanation to me, but then I would still struggle in some of the areas that I wanted to see dramatic change. So what I ended up doing was putting together this process just for myself, right? I took a couple years and it was like trial and error. And part of why I'm sharing it all now is to help you avoid the trial and error part, right? So instead of taking the years that I did, you're able to put it all together very quickly and actually make the changes that you want without having the frustration that I did. That is the whole purpose of me sharing all of this information, is so that you can avoid the ups and downs and pitfalls that I had to go through to figure this out. And so what I found was that when I really started looking at my habits and I started looking at the way I was behaving each day, and my habits included my physical habits and my emotional and mental habits, right? One of the habits that I have talked a lot about that took me a while to get over, and I still catch myself to this day working on it, is the habit of having mental arguments in my own brain, right? Like I would kind of continue to go round and round in circles with somebody about something that I thought I had been wronged, and I had to defend myself. And so that was a big area that's like not necessarily a physical habit that I had, but it was an emotional one, and it was a mental one that I was going through. The other one for me was this evening routine that I'm talking about, where I would just scroll my phone and then just go pass out. Half the time I was falling asleep on the couch and then like waking up. It was the worst kind of sleep you could imagine. Like I was like, what am I doing to myself here? And so I started looking at these habits and these routines that I was keeping. And I said, if I was living the life that I really want, and I loved my body and I felt good about who I was, and I was in a financial situation that I wanted to be in, and I had the relationship and the openness and communication that I wanted, is this how I would be behaving? And the answer was very quickly a big slap in the face. Absolutely not. No, this is not how I would be behaving. This is not the things that I would be doing. And so I had to be very honest with myself about the things that I was doing and start to make shifts in my own routines, in the way that I was talking to myself and treating myself, so that I could have change in my life. And again, I just stumbled on this on accident. But I found over and over that when I went back to this process, it was working. I was seeing dramatic changes in my life. My financial situation changed. My relationships have improved. The way that I just feel overall as a human being has improved. My ability to stop and think before reacting is so much better, right? And I actually feel better now because I allow myself to feel the quote unquote negative emotions. I don't even assign them as negative anymore. I just see them as a feeling. And part, in my opinion, of us being here on this earth is to learn how to manage emotions, because emotions are energy. These feelings that we're putting out is energy. And when you start to look at the energy that you're putting out, what is it? Is it one that you are taking care of yourself and you're loving yourself? Or is it one that you're frustrated and you feel like the day-to-day maid and nobody cares about you and you're not getting the kind of fulfillment out of life that you want? Start viewing these feelings and these emotions that you dwell in as your energy, because they are. And that's what you're putting out. And the more that you can change that, the more the world just starts to remarkably reflect this back to you. It starts to answer your energy with like energy. And I want you to start shifting your energy by taking a look at your evening routine. That's what we're going to start today. Your evening routine in the environment that you're going to bed. Because taking a look at these small sections is really the best way to build up to this life that you really love. Before we jump into that, I do want to take a moment to let you know that I set up a completely free email series called 4 Weeks to Taking Back Your Life. I'll leave a link down for that below so that you can sign up. As soon as you sign up, you get the first email. They're all very actionable based, and they help you start to take a look at the habits and the routines that you're keeping and how to set intentions around your new habits, how to identify what it is that you want, how to really step into being this person that you want to be and start living a life that you really want to live. So if you want to check that out, the link will be down below. Again, it's called 4 Weeks to Taking Back Your Life. So for today, I want you to go into your bedroom. If you're listening to this while driving, do it when you get home, or if you can, just pause and go look at it now. And I want you to take a look at what's next to your bed and really ask yourself if what you're waking up next to is going to help you or hinder you from becoming the person that you want to be, right? Take a look around your room, but especially that first thing that you see. What is kind of set up there for you to achieve your goals? What are the things that are sitting right next to you? When I did this exercise, I noticed that first thing in the morning, what I would usually see is my phone, which I would grab first thing to start going through. It was insane how much I would just like go straight to my phone, no matter what. If I was bored, phone. If I was getting ready for bed, phone. As soon as I woke up, phone. And I really needed to break that habit. The other thing that I noticed, being completely transparent, is that mine was messy. I had all kinds of crap around, but there was nothing that was really aligned to the type of life that I wanted. And so now my nightstand actually has like a nice lamp that I put on as I'm getting ready for bed. So it's not as bright of light. I like to get myself set up, let my mind kind of know, oh, we're getting ready for bed. This is our little ritual. And I turn on that light. And it's got 3 levels. It's like one of those touch lamps that gets brighter with each time you touch it. But the light is like a really nice amber color, and it just reminds me of going to bed. It's like very calming. I relax when I turn it on. It's not these like bright lights that are telling me it's time to wake up and be getting to go for the day. So that is one thing that is sitting there. The other one is my phone is actually quite a distance away from me. I still like having it. I have an adult daughter who does not live at home with me. I like having my phone there in case she needs to call me and needs something. So I do keep my phone there. But when I was practicing focusing my attention away from getting on my phone right first thing in the morning, what I would do is I would put a sticky note on my phone that was like a little reminder. So I would either find a quote or I would just put something there that was like, remember, you're changing. Like it would literally be a sticky note that told me that, remember, you're changing. And it was just a nice little reminder of like, oh yes, I know I want to do something different. Now I also have my journal that sits there because I like to journal before I go to bed, take a look at what the day, the next day is going to look like. And I'll talk about that in a little bit more detail here in just a minute. And then I also usually have a cup of water so that I have some water for myself. I have chapstick because I live in Colorado. And if you live in Colorado, then you know, if you know, right, that we always need chapstick pretty much everywhere. I have a little bit of CBD cream because I like to put that on my back. Sometimes my back gets a little sore and I like to put that on my back. And then I also have some wild yam cream because I like to put that on in the mornings to balance my hormones. So I do it morning and night. And if it's sitting right there on my nightstand, I just get it right away. And then I have my book and I have a book light. And the book light is one that also can change to an amber light. And then I have everything there with me and it is always clean. Well, I shouldn't say always, right? It does get kind of messy and I have to look at it each week and redesign my environment and say, no, I want this to be nice. I want to make sure that I'm focusing correctly. I want to make sure that I am set up as my ideal self and that I wake up in the morning feeling super refreshed, feeling like my environment is nice and that I'm not like in a messy kind of area. And I really was for quite a while. I would have so much crap all over this nightstand and nothing that was any which way beneficial to me whatsoever. So that is your first task is I want you to spend some time today, whether it's when you get home from work or if you can do it right now while you're listening to the podcast, go take a look at that little environment around you and ask, is this really set up for who I want to be? What can I remove that would be more in alignment with the person I want to be and the life I want to lead? And what could be added to contribute to me being my best version of myself? Now we're going to go into the second part of today's episode, which is talking about how you're spending your evening and making sure that you're set up for success before you go to bed. A lot of the principles around changing your life, especially if you're looking at like law of assumption, law of attraction, talks about those moments before bed. What feeling are you taking with you into bed? Because that is a time that you are truly impressing your subconscious, right? Even if you want to look at this from a scientific standpoint, you are impressing your subconscious with those things, those thoughts that you're dwelling on before you go to bed. Because remember, our feelings and our thoughts, they're energy. So what energy are you putting out right before you drift off to sleep? Where is your mind dwelling? And you can pay attention if you want to spend a couple nights paying attention to what you're thinking about right before you go to bed. And then take a look at the life that you're leading. If you are going to bed thinking that your boss doesn't like you and that they're always getting on you and that it's really frustrating because you're never seen as creative at work, and then you're finding that that's what's actually playing out for you at work, I want you to try this experiment of changing what you're dwelling in before you go to bed. And again, if you are someone who is struggling with taking care of yourself because you feel like that is a selfish thing to do, I'm talking about a very small window of time to do what I call the 3 R's. And I'm going to go over those here in just a minute. All that we're doing is spending a little bit of time before bed that you can give to yourself to make sure that you're setting up tomorrow to be the best tomorrow that you could possibly have. And it's not selfish. It's very little time, and it is allowing you to feel better so that you wake up tomorrow more refreshed. And I just want you to give it as an experiment. Just try it out and see what happens. So I always recommend that there is the 3 R's before bed, and they are refresh, renew, reflect. So refresh is your first R, and you can honestly do these in whatever order. The reflect I recommend to be the last one right before you go to bed. But I don't want you spending so much time on this that then you're like, now I can't fall asleep, right? Now my mind's going, I can't fall asleep. That's not the point. But refresh and renew can kind of be swapped depending on how your evening is going and the time that you go to bed and kind of what works out best for you. I usually do my refresh first, and refresh is my first R, and that is to do something that is physically cleansing for my body. So I either go wash my face, I will take a bath. I have recently been taking magnesium baths, so I put about 6 cups of magnesium in my bath. And I relax with a book and I just take a warm bath before bed. It is one of my favorite things in the whole wide world to do. If you've listened to any of my other content, I also recommend doing daily joys. And I talk about this quite a lot, and I know it'll come up in more podcasts. So if you need to learn about what a daily joy is, you can go back to some other episodes or also visit my website. I talk about it there. That's CeciliaHendricks.com. But so anyways, if you look at just cleansing your body, right? Doing something for you. You can take a shower, take a bath, wash your face, brush your teeth, all of those kind of things. And it's always really important too to tell yourself, I'm doing this to refresh my body. I'm doing this because I love myself and I want to take care of myself. And if that feels awkward right now, that's okay. That's fine. And it may at first, right? But it's good to look at yourself in the mirror and tell yourself, I'm doing this because I care enough about me to show up for myself. I care enough to take this time out to do something for me. And I have shared in older episodes, have not shared recently, but I actually like talking to myself this way in the mirror naked, which I know to some people sounds really weird, but I have always had body struggles. I've always been really hard on my body. I wanted it to essentially be perfect. And I've learned over the years that as I sit in the mirror naked and I wash my face or I get out of the bath and I'm putting on lotion and I talk nicely to myself, I am in my most raw form, right? I don't have makeup on my face. I don't have any clothing on. I'm by myself and it's just me and me. And I can tell myself, I love you. You do really good things. You're funny and you're a great friend and you are really sharing some good information that can help others. And I just feel good about it. And my relationship, I guess that's the best way to put it. My relationship with my body, my naked body, has improved so much. I appreciate so much about my body. I love the way that I look. And it's not to say that I don't want to get in more physical good shape, right? Like I physically want to be in good shape. I want to take care of myself. I want to eat well. It's not to say that just because I accept myself as I am now, that there's not areas that I want to improve, right? That I don't want to keep working to become a better version of myself. But I also really, truly love who I am now. So your first R is to just refresh. You don't necessarily have to say anything to yourself in the mirror, but I do definitely recommend it. Mel Robbins actually talks about giving yourself a mental like high five, well, not actually a physical high five in the mirror. And that there was a study that showed that this really improved the way that people felt on a day-to-day basis. It is good to tell yourself that you care about yourself. You should be your number one in life. You really have to take care of you. And again, the more you take care of you, the more you have to give to others. So the second one is renewal. Renewal is of the mind. So you can either take a walk outside. That's why sometimes I switch mine from like the bath. If I'm going to do a walk for my renewal, I tend to do that one first and then come home and do the refresh so I can wash kind of everything off. So it's really up to you on which order you want to do these ones in. A renewal of the mind can also be reading a book, especially one that's around self-help or spirituality. If you need some book recommendations, I have plenty. I freaking love reading. So if you want to email me and say, I would like some book recommendations, give me an idea of kind of the self-help thing that you're looking for, the spirituality, and I will send you back a list. You can email me at unleashinghappiness@ceciliahendricks.com. I love giving book recommendations. I read so much and I have some of the most amazing books. I've actually talked on here. I have a really good friend who gifts books a lot. And like she was just over actually on Friday of this week and brought me another book. And I really hope she realizes how special that is to me, because to me, a book is one of the greatest gifts you can give. And even if you just give the recommendation, not the physical copy of the book, I find that so wonderful, because it's like, here's this thing that was so beneficial to me and I learned so much from, and I want to give it to you because I love you and I care about you. And I just love her so much. And I'm so happy that she gives me these books. Like I truly cherish them. It is so special and so meaningful to me. And if she's listening today, she will definitely know that I'm talking about her. And I hope she has a big old smile on her face and knows how much I love her. And I love all of her books that she gives me. So reading is definitely a really good renewal of the mind, because there are so many wonderful books out there. And the more that you read from different types of people, the more that you can learn what really resonates and sits with you, what feels good, what you want to do. So it's a phenomenal way to get information and to grow within your own spirituality and your own like personal development growth. And of course, another one for renewal of the mind is to meditate. Even if it's 5 to 10 minutes, just sit and meditate. And one of the ways that I recommend that you do meditation is to focus on your breath. Meditation is not about your mind just shutting off and having nothing. So if your mind wanders, congratulations, you're human. That's the way our minds work. But if you can bring yourself back, that is a wonderful tool to have. That's beginning how to teach you how you can actually regulate your own emotions, because once you can catch them and you start to see yourself going off onto a tangent or going off into a thought and an energy that you don't want to have, you bring yourself back to your breath. And I actually have a client who said, hey, I really struggle to come back to my breath. My mind kind of keeps wandering. For folks like that, there are some people who definitely focus more internally, like your breath, and some that do better focusing externally. So if you're one of those where you're like, I continually try to focus on my breath and I just struggle, it's really not working, then what I recommend that you do is you twist that a little bit. And instead of focusing on something internally to you, start focusing on what's external to you. So either do a body scan. What can you feel touching your body in different areas, and can you relax them? Start with your feet, work your way up right to the top of your head. Another one is to listen for the sounds around you. Can you bring your focus back to what you can hear going on in the world around you? So you can start to do that, and that will bring you back into this meditation. And the more you do it, like anything, practice makes perfect, right? The more you go over it, the easier it's going to get. So continue to come back to it. And if you can combine some of these, that's even better, right? If you're like, well, mine is going to be a walk, and so that's for my renewal, and then I'm going to come home and I'm going to refresh by washing my face and taking a bath, and then I'm going to do a renewal again by reading and doing a meditation. That's phenomenal. You take these things and put them together for what makes sense in your life, the time that you have, and what you need that day. You don't have to be so strict with this routine that you can't change like what you're doing on a day-to-day basis. You're definitely able to do that, and I recommend it, right? Do what you need that day. Honor yourself and where you are mentally and physically that day, and give to yourself within these 3 R's. So our last one is to reflect. And this is the one that I do recommend doing probably within about 30 minutes of going to bed. So you're going to sit and take a look back at your day. Did you act in alignment to the person you want to be? You know what outcome you want. Was your behavior in alignment with that? And I'll use an example of seeking a specific person, right? And you have this love that you really want in your life. If you look back on your day, did you maybe check their Instagram like 15 times to see if you were unblocked? That is not someone who is feeling loved and cherished in a relationship. You just don't behave that way. If that's the person that you want to be, that's not what you would be doing. If you want to feel secure and loved and desired, that's not really a behavior that's usually going to line up to that. So take a look, and it can even be something less dramatic. I was actually talking to my daughter this morning, and she was talking about how, women that are in a very loving relationship don't talk about how all men are dogs and awful. And so if you find yourself doing that, where you're venting with your girlfriends about how, all men are just dogs and they all lie and they're all terrible and blah, 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 that's not really in alignment with what you're seeking. If you're seeking a loving and cherished relationship that is built off of mutual respect, right? Like that's not the way that goes. Those two don't work together. So take a look at those behaviors that you have. And this is not a time to beat yourself up. You're just reflecting back over your day. And when you find those times that you're like, actually, no, that was not in alignment with the person that I want to be. That's not in alignment with the values that I want to have. I want you to take a moment and imagine that you had behaved in a different way. We're not going to try to force anything. I just want you to sit for a moment and imagine what it would have felt like had you not bashed men. Or if instead of checking Instagram, you had done something for yourself in that moment, right? Or instead of checking Instagram, it never even occurred to you to do that. I just want you to spend a little bit of time imagining the possibility that you had behaved in a different way. And you can do this with other people, right? Like this isn't just about you. Let's say you reflect back on your day and you're like, my boss really embarrassed me in front of a group of people. So I want you to spend some time imagining that had not happened. Imagine that instead they had praised you in front of those people. Just spend a little bit of time, just the what if, the possibility that this had gone differently than what it had gone. Just spend a little bit of time there. And then you're going to reflect on your day for tomorrow. What is some way that you could get better tomorrow than you were today? What is something that you could do for yourself that's only 1% better? So let's say today that you had done the checking of the Instagram. Well, tomorrow, if you're just going to get 1% better, maybe you are waking up first thing in the morning and the first thing you're doing is checking Instagram to see if so-and-so has unblocked you. Okay, so can you make yourself 1% better by waiting an hour before checking? Right? That's it. That's your 1% better, is that you're going to wait 1 hour before you start the checking. You can start with baby steps. It's actually really good. The smaller the steps that you start with, you're more likely to hold on to those changes. And anything that you're changing, I want you to replace it with something that's enjoyable, something that you like. A daily joy is a wonderful thing to put there. So instead of checking the Instagram, you're instead going to go out and smell the flowers, or you're instead going to brush your hair, or something you enjoy, right? You're going to do something for you instead of that activity. And that's going to start to rewire your brain. So I hope you found this beneficial. I hope that you add this to your days, right? Start doing your 3 R's. So remember, I want you to go back and take a look at your environment. What's around your bed? And then I want you to start incorporating these 3 R's into your evening routine. And that's kind of it, right? You're going to refresh, you're going to renew, and you're going to reflect. And the more that you do this, the more that you're setting the intention for the person that you're going to be. The energy that you will put out with this is nothing short of absolutely amazing, and you will start to feel the changes within yourself extremely quickly. If you have any questions, definitely feel free to email me unleashinghappiness@ceciliahendricks.com. And again, remember to reach out if you would like some book recommendations. If you're listening on YouTube, you can actually just drop that stuff right in the comments and I'll respond directly from there. And then it's actually kind of nice because other people could see it. So if you have book recommendations that you're looking for, or if you have any questions, have anything to add, definitely put it there. And remember, tonight, 3 R's: refresh, renew, reflect. I wish you all the best, and I hope you have an absolutely beautiful week.